Hello Australia. Today we will be addressing how multiculturalism is crucial to the development of our Australian identity due to a history of immigration which has now become an aspect that the world identifies with Australia. This vlog will identify how although multiculturalism is vital to our modern identity, it creates complexities in defining what an Australian identity is. In addition, we can't ignore the fact that our nation romanticises multiculturalism, as entrenched racism is still present throughout Australia. Multiculturalism is the most relevant element of a modern day Australia, due to the immense diversity evident in all aspects of our culture. The idea of our nation constantly being immersed in a variety of cultures from various ethnic backgrounds has reshaped aspects that define our Australian identity. By 1973, the phrase multiculturalism had been integrated into our language, as migrant groups were forming states and associations to maintain culture and language. Australia, as a young country with a desire to build the population, has 6 million immigrants, with 28% of the population being born overseas. It has become evident in a variety of multicultural Australian texts. The first example of this is the 1987 ever-popular patriotic Australian song by the Seekers, referencing many cultural and historical Australian aspects, I Am Australian, which highlights in its verses the acceptance of a multicultural society. This is evident in the chorus stating, "We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We'll share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Australian." Therefore, this text encourages all citizens of Australia to unify as one whole society, regardless of our diverse cultures. The use of I and we, our personal pronouns, display the inclusiveness of the song so that no matter what culture, we can all come together to be Australian citizens. Another Australian example of multiculturalism playing an important role in defining a modern Australia is the popular 2011 movie Red Dog, that evidently depicts a variety of ethnic groups uniting in order to build the Australian economy through gold mining, a success story for Australian immigration and multicultural community. Towards the beginning of the film, Vano makes a crucial and valid statement regarding multiculturalism and its unity in Australian culture. They come from everywhere, from all the countries. They come from for the money and for the work, from Poland, New Zealand, Ireland, Greece, Latvia, America, working together, eating together. Throughout this movie, it is made apparent the Australian acceptance of multiculturalism through the joyful mateship of the miners, regardless of the culture, a paramount example of how over time immigration has influenced a diverse population unlike other nations. Shows such as Survivor, MasterChef and The Block that have also incorporated the interesting diversity that our nation is able to encompass through the inclusiveness of people who we come to love that are expressing their cultural difference. This is what makes our country unbelievably interesting, as we are now a melting pot for so many exciting cultures. Multiculturalism creates complexities with our identity. Due to its immense diversity, this in turn causes our identity to be individually difficult to define as one. When referring to the book Italy to England, which perfectly captures multiculturalism and immigration in Australia over time, displays how the diversity of cultures since 1980s immigrating into the country has made it difficult for Australians to recognise one identity as being Australian. A statement from the book displaying this is, Australia's population acquired a considerable, if tardy, cosmopolitan character, embracing most of the human race, therefore referring to the fact that there was no urgency to become a singular identity. In regard to Tim Winton's neighbours, this text identifies a typical racist belief when he states that the street was full of European migrants that made the newlyweds feel like sojourners in a foreign land. This extract portrays the attitude of the belief that some Australians in suburbia would feel content and safe living in an environment not encompassed by migrants that do not understand, such as the Macedonian neighbours in this text shouted, ranted and screamed at each other, and it took 6 months for the newcomers to comprehend the fact that their neighbours were not murdering each other, merely talking. Tim Winton's comments exhibit the distinct language barriers that can lead to conflict and misunderstandings between cultures. The Girls by Anne Zahalka, 2007, depicts Lebanese women on Cronulla Beach wearing full-body bathing suits. This displays the way our Australian identity has had to change in order to accommodate and respect the introduction of other cultural practices into one of our major aspects of Australian identity, being the beach. This also depicts clothing that would have been unusual to our traditional beachwear that we all associate with going to the beach. Depending on how you see it, good or bad, positive or negative, our identity has changed due to the influence of other cultures. It has to. In regard to the racial tensions that multiculturalism has manufactured in our society, it can be made apparent that due to the inability to form a singular cultural identity, conflict has resulted in forms such as the 2005 Cronulla riots. The Sydney Morning Herald wrote an article regarding how diversity is crucial to our identity, but at the time a substantial number of Caucasian Australians of Cronulla felt overpowered by immigrants, and this can be reflected into our current society. Back in 2005, it was panic about reclaiming the beach in Cronulla from Middle Eastern young men. Today, similar language infects anti-Muslim protests that have occurred in numerous cities. There is no question our community cohesion is currently under strain, therefore negatively perceiving those that may feel threatened by the social normalities in Australia. In addition, the book titled From Italy to England is ideal to pinpoint how multiculturalism is something that, even though it defines our nation, is heavily romanticised by all citizens as the view of immigrant Australians was possibly and still is shadowed by racism. A quote from the book stating, "A popular held view in the Sugar District was that once Italians settled a particular area, they were especially prone to send back to Italy for friends and family. Like a few weeds in a well-kept garden, they should therefore be discouraged from becoming established because of their potential to spread." This extract from the book displays that even though the Italian immigrants were performing challenging labour for the Australian economy, the English Australians did not appreciate or accept the Italians in alarm that their Australian identity would become manipulated. But let's face it, as I have just pointed out, we have the optimism that multiculturalism is a lovely sense of unity, when really it has caused, in some cases, racial tensions. In summation, multiculturalism is undeniably an element of Australian culture that immigration has come to help define our modern nation. Throughout a variety of texts, it can be made apparent that Australia has become known as a society encompassing extensive diversity in regard to cultures and ethnicities, making our identity so unique. However, this has become a troubling topic for many Australians, as our extreme diversity makes us constantly question what it means to be Australian, and how we define this. In conjunction, as much as multiculturalism is the distinct element for our ever-changing identity, the idea of accepted multiculturalism is romanticised, as evident in the text, arguably reflecting an Australian majority of unintentional but entrenched racist beliefs that a multicultural nation not only has the inability to understand a variety of cultures, but limits our potential to define an Australian identity. Thank you.